The Joe Biden administration is going to supply weapon systems to Saudi Arabia. But who owns the company who's going to supply those weapon systems, and what other companies do they own?
Stay tuned.
I think the American taxpayer might find this real interesting.
What's going on?
Hey guys, one of the reasons I promote things on my channel is because I use them. And I use them because I believe they benefit me. They help promote strength, endurance, and energy. Energy? I could use some freaking energy around here. A lot of nature's top fruits and vegetables that support a healthy heart, circulatory system, and high energy happen to be red. So come on, spit it out. Where do we get some of this red stuff? I drink Eternal Reds because it's got 8 specific foods that promotes energy. And these foods would be costly and time consuming to get in your typical diet. So click the link in the description and grab some energy.
I feel like everybody should know this. This is a really, really interesting thing going on here. Because a lot of people were down on Trump, and rightly so, for being in bed with the Saudis, and he was. They're not our friends, guys. They're not our friends. They're not our allies. The human rights violations coming out of Saudi Arabia, I can't think of anybody that puts more points on the board for human rights violations than Saudi Arabia. And we're going to give them weapons. Saudi gets first major arms deal under Biden with air-to-air missiles. Look at this. This is reported by Reuters. The U.S. State Department approved its first major arms sale to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia under U.S. President Joe Biden's administration with the sale of 280 air-to-air missiles valued at over $650 million, the Pentagon said on Thursday. While Saudi Arabia is an important partner in the Middle East, U.S. lawmakers have criticized Riyadh for its involvement in the war in Yemen, a conflict considered one of the world's worst humanitarian disasters. And if you take a look at it and you know anything about it, it is one of the world's worst humanitarian disasters coming out of Saudi Arabia. And we're going to do an arms deal with them, 280 air-to-air missiles. They have refused to approve many military sales for the kingdom without assurances U.S. equipment would not be used to kill civilians. Now, Saudi Arabia, do you promise that you won't use the weapons that we supply to you? Do you promise that you won't use those on civilians? Cross my heart and hope to die. All right, we'll do it. And who does it enrich? Stay tuned. The Pentagon notified Congress of the sale on Thursday. It approved the deal would be the first sale to Saudi Arabia since the Biden administration adopted a policy of selling only defensive weapons to the Gulf ally. The State Department had approved the sale on October 26th, the spokesperson said, adding that the air-to-air missile sales come after, quote, an increase in cross-border attacks against Saudi Arabia over the past few years. Who's going to profit from this? Raytheon Technologies makes the missiles. Raytheon Technology, defense contractor Raytheon. Well, let's take a look at something here. Who are the top 10 defense contractors supplied by taxpayer? I don't even know why I keep saying tax cattle. It's not like we're cattle being fleeced by political parasites. Anyway, the top 10 defense contractors: Lockheed Martin, number 2, Raytheon Technologies. So we know where they get the money for these defense contracts, and we know that Raytheon is going to be supplying Saudi Arabia with at least 280 air-to-air missiles. But who owns Raytheon? Can anybody guess who owns Raytheon? You know, there's an investigative assertion. It's follow the money. And then there's a follow-up investigative question, key bono, who benefits? So if you follow the money and you ask the question, who benefits, you can come up with some spot-on, accurate answers. Who owns Raytheon? Let's take a look. This is Raytheon. Who are the major shareholders, stockholders of Raytheon Technologies? Oh my goodness, State Street. Who owns State Street? Vanguard and BlackRock. So the top four, State Street, owned by Vanguard and BlackRock. Number 2, Vanguard. Number 3, BlackRock. And Wellington Management Group, the person who founded Wellington Management, went on to found Vanguard. So Vanguard owns them. Who owns Capital Research Global Investors? Vanguard and BlackRock. Who owns JP Morgan Chase? How about Capital International Investors? Morgan Stanley, BlackRock. So essentially the top 10, at least the first top 8 major shareholders for Raytheon, the defense contractor that gets American tax cattle money, is Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, Wellington Management Group. The same people, by the way, who own major shares in the company who's being represented by the government and all fake stream media sources to push a magic potion that everybody in corporate media and government want inside of your body and your posterity's body. That's this company right here. Who owns this company right here? Oh, it's the same people who own Raytheon, Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, Wellington Management. All right, well, that's just a coincidence. Who owns CNN? Who promotes the military industrial complex and the big pharma industrial complex? Who owns CNN? Turner Broadcasting System owns CNN. Who owns Turner Broadcasting? Warner Media owns Turner Broadcasting, which owns CNN. Who owns Warner Media? AT&T owns Warner Media, who owns Turner Broadcasting, who owns CNN. But who owns AT&T? Who are the major shareholders for AT&T? The same shareholders who own stock in this company right here that shall remain nameless. This company right here. Can you see my cursor? Who owns AT&T? Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, Morgan Stanley. Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street. Who owns this company? Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street. Who's the major shareholders in Raytheon Technology that are going to supply the 280 air-to-air missiles to Saudi Arabia, our enemy and humanity's enemy? Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street. Never forget that. Never forget that follow the money means something. Never forget that key bono means something. And you come up with the answer to the question, who benefits? And it's the same people over and over and over again. You got to ask yourself, what's going on? What is going on here? Who's on the take? How much power do these people have? Who's on the dole? Do they own Congress? Are there any senators and congressmen out there really fighting for and championing the cause of the American people? Or is it really for the likes of Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, Wellington Management? Just a couple questions there. That's all I got is questions.
Hey guys, we know with the way things have been going, it can get really interesting really quick. So make sure you and your family have a long-term storable food supply. Support the channel and get $50 off with my link in the description while you still can.